I'm Carlo Giorgi, CEO and founder of Ulia Pharma. We are a group of technicians with expertise in the production of machinery, industrial machinery, pharmaceutical machinery, and drug production. I will show you our new approach, that is a polar printer. So a brief introduction to my background. I'm a mechanical engineer with a master's degree in mechatronics and robotics at Milano Politecnico. I spent 3 years in a company, Steriline, that is producing automatic filling, aseptic filling machine. This is one of my baby. It's a robotic filling machine. And then I started Ulia Pharma. So I want to bring on the table the vision of an industrial engineer, something a bit different from what we have seen previously. So let's start with the classification. We can divide the actual machinery in 2 main groups: laboratory equipment characterized by low productivity and high flexibility, and industrial machinery with opposite characteristics. For simplicity, for a simplification, we can put 3D printing in the left side. So Ulia Pharma was started in 2019 on the right side of this map. So we are not developing a new 3D printing technology that is able to produce drug, but we are trying to, through a flexibilization process, to bring industrial machinery on the left side. We started with a technology that is used for more than 100 years. This is the coating pan. It's what you see in the picture. Just for the audience, the coating pan is the same process for which you can produce the sugared almonds. You have a big pan with thousands and thousands of tablets that are sprayed with polymeric and sugar liquid. And after a drying process, you have to coat, you reach the coating that you want. So the idea behind Ulia Pharma is to take one of these edible base and then spray on it API and excipients. So this is our design. We have an inactive base, an edible base, that is put in rotation on its own axis. And thanks to jets of active ingredients and excipients, we create a multi-layer structure. On the upper part, you can see the section with all the steps of the process. This is a patent pending technology in Europe and America, United States, and it will be granted in 2021, hopefully in Europe. So why we have chosen this strange approach? Because we want to have the same result of 3D printing with a classical 2D technology. So we can change the dosage by controlling the thickness of the active layer, and we can control the drug release speed with a classical chemical approach, or thanks to a geometric approach. So by simply controlling the thickness of the retarding layer, that is the white one. This is an approach that is not easy to have in classical coating pan technology, because you should use coating pans in series, or you have to clean and wash the coating pan every time you are making a new layer. So what are our development goals? We are trying to get the full monitoring of the process and the zero-skill manufacturing. Those are characteristics that need to be addressed, that are binding for a compounding pharmacy. Full monitoring of the process is something that is commonly used in industrial production. We know regulation CFR 21 part 11, but this is not so easy to address if you have a lot of manual steps. So those characteristics should work together. Let's make a brief comparison between Cartesian printers and our technology that is a polar printers. Just to clarify, Cartesian printers are all the printers that are working in a box-like area, that are using axes that are parallels. Ulia Pharma and our technology is using rotational axes. That means that we are reducing production time and simplify all the machinery. So we have a comparison with our technology, FDM, and other Cartesian printers, practically cold printers, so direct powder extrusion and other cold extrusion. So the first point is the API degradation and high temperature process. That is something that is a critical point for FDM technologies. We are working at approximately 50 degrees, so we don't have this time of problems. Then another one on which we have a focus later, that is the complexity of the mechanics connected with production. How it's the difficulties connected with the multi-compound drugs. One of the disadvantages of our technology, that is the drug loading. We know that we have less than 30% of the drug loading of a capsule. And then the full monitoring of the process, real-time shape control, and low risk of cross-contamination. Low risk of cross-contamination is here because if you have high risks, then you need a better monitoring control. So let's talking about the mechanics. This is something that is, in my opinion, important, because if you have a multi-axis machine, you have to be sure that each axis is collaborating on the mechanical point, on the electrical point, on the software point. And if you don't have that, you have production errors. So you have a digital model and you have bending, leaning, and other errors. We are working with just one axis and the valve. And those elements should not work in collaboration. I mean, they have to work together, but this is not a strictly collaboration like in Cartesian printer. And that's another point that should be stressed, is the software validation. We know that guideline by FDA of medical device, 3D printed medical device, in that guidelines, FDA is pushing on 3D printing software validation. We are not using G-code based software. So that means that we are using a software that is practically the same of a coating pan, and we don't have validation issues. Okay. So another problem is the multi-compound drugs. Multi-compound drugs and recurring patterns. What is a recurring patterns? It's just the positioning of the head over and over near the tablet. That means that if you have an inconsistency during the production, you can have residues on the production head, and you can have cross-contamination. That means that you can produce drugs that are dangerous, that are not as should be. We are working with a technology that is based to have that wants to have valves that are working in a totally independent way. So they are dispensing in the production chamber one at a time, and you cannot have cross-contamination. Okay, this is now also something that I have seen during the break. This is one issue. So how we can control the stability and the characteristics of whole 3D printed tablets. We are working on a 3D scanner, an infrared laser scanner, in order to create a cloud of points during all the production of the pill that gives us information about porosity, shape, thickness, and drying speed control. The last focus is on risk of cross-contamination, because as I told you, if you have high risks, you need a stronger monitoring system. On the left, we have what's the problem with Cartesian printers is that they are working every time on the same plate. So that means that you have to be sure that this plate is clean, is sterilized, and you have to verify it. If you don't do that, you have the cross-contamination of the production. In our case, we are changing the plate every time because we are changing the edible base every time. That means that you cannot have a cross-contamination between old and new production. After that, we are working also on a production chamber that is on the same sides of the peel, let's say the edible base, that could be automatically load and unload as the peel itself as a disposable chamber. Where we are, we have spent 2020 on research materials for this technology and checking all the dispensing technology. We are now working with multivitamin coating edible PVA base. And we have tested all the dispensing technology, and now we are stocked with the piezoelectric print head because they are much more precise than other application. And then that's also because in the future, it will be easy to manage APIs, because in theory, in the future, you can just change the cartridge and then you have a different product. Like an inkjet printer that you have in the office. Where we are, so we get the support from European Commission, thanks to the Hammerwall grant. We are getting the support from TNO, and we are developing a multi-layer structure that was able to complete the development of our technology. We are searching partners for going on with this technology. So I hope that we get connection today. Thank you.